Distinguished President of the Republic of Slovenia, Minister of Education, Science and Sport, and Minister for Slovenians abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening in Slovenia and good afternoon in the US. It is a great pleasure to welcome you to this year's virtual ASEF Gala. My name is Sara Ermenc. I was last year's Junior Fellow, and I'm more than happy to be accompanied by Uroš Prešeren, Junior Fellow of 2019.
A warm welcome from my side as well. It is a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Together with Sara, we'll be your host and will guide you through the wonderful event this evening. Hopefully, it will bring you some magical moments and will make your Zoom everyday life a little bit brighter.
Despite the fact that last year has given us a lot to adapt to, I suggest that tonight we focus on the positive sides of the pandemic.
I couldn't agree more with Sara. The pandemic has truly engulfed the world. However, science has shown us the potential it has, with us being able to observe its breakthroughs in real time, from knowing almost nothing about the disease to producing efficient vaccines in less than a year. Furthermore, the pandemic made countries realize just how important successful cooperation really is. Nonetheless, we do share the same planet in this great universe, and the universe in particular will be tonight's topic.
Among many other achievements, astronauts blasted into orbit for the first time in nearly a decade. 3 countries sent spacecraft hurtling toward Mars, and robotic explorers collected rocks from the moon. Not only was the US successful, also Slovenian scientists contributed by launching very first Slovenian satellites.
Beside the universe, there's a second thing this event will revolve around. We are gathered here to celebrate last year's accomplishments of both ASEF and of all Slovenians around the globe who are contributing to science and innovation. Out of everyone, a special place is reserved for the ASEF Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Miss Sunita Williams, an NASA astronaut whom we are very honored to have as our guest tonight. Before we start, let me just remind you that during the whole event there will be an active chat where you are more than welcome to participate. You can access the chat by clicking on the button below the video on your screens. We will open the gala with greetings from our distinguished guest, but before we dive in, let's first listen to Doris Ćosić, a talented guitarist who will perform West Side Story. Yes, you heard me right, it's not West Side Story, but West Side Story, written by the Slovenian composer Nejc Kuhar.
We are extremely happy that the President of the Republic of Slovenia has warmly accepted our invitation to greet all the Slovenian scientists and professionals abroad. Mr. Borut, Pahor.
Spoštovane gospe in gospodje, dragi prijatelji, znanost in povezanost sveta imata ključno vlogo pri premagovanju pandemije. Znanost je že in bo še našla rešitev za virus, medsebojna povezanost in solidarnost pa bosta ohranili našo človečnost in zavedanje, da smo skupaj močnejši. Nocojšnji večer je posvečen mladim Slovenkam in Slovencem, ki svojo odličnostjo in zavzetostjo spodbujajo prenos znanj ter poglabljajo sodelovanje med Slovenci v domovino in po svetu. Ob tem se rad spominjam čudovitih besed Kristi Hodak, predsednice društva Vtis, ki sem jo lani povabil za slavnostno govornico ob dnevu samostojnosti in enotnosti. Dejala je, da njena generacija želi skupaj složno graditi prihodnost Slovenije. K temu prispevate v ameriško-slovenski izobraževalni fundaciji. Mladim odpirate okno v svet in jim pomagate slediti njihovim sanjam. ASEF ni zgolj fundacija. Je mehurček, kot rečemo, sijajnih posameznic in posameznikov, ki ste prepoznali pomen povezovanja med državama in uspeli ustvariti edinstveno stičišče najimenitnejših umov, prodornih zamisli in uspešnih praks. To je za Slovenijo in naše ljudi zelo pomembno in navdihujoče. Takšno razumevanje pomena razvoja in raziskav ter spodbujanje znanstvenega in gospodarskega sodelovanja mora biti ena ključnih nalog sodobne družbe. Zato vam kot predsednik republike in kot vaš častni pokrovitelj izrekam neskončno hvaležnost za pomembno poslanstvo, ki ga izpolnjujete. Ob tej priložnosti iskreno čestitam tudi gospe Suniti Williams, ki bo nocoj prejela nagrado fundacije ASEF za življenjsko delo in izjemne dosežke na področju znanosti. Leta 2013 sem imel čast gospe Suniti Williams vročiti državno odlikovanje. In kot tedaj, tudi danes verjamem, da je njena karierna pot navdih vsem mladim, ki imajo sanje in si želijo, tako ali drugače, poseči po zvezdah. Dragi prijatelji, z upanjem, z velikim upanjem, da se bomo kmalu spet srečali v predsedniški palači, vas vse prav lepo pozdravljam in vam želim vse dobro. Srečno.
Thank you, Mr. President, for these encouraging words. We're also happy to hear from Ms. Helena Jaklitsch, Minister for Slovenians abroad. Her greeting is going to be in Slovenian language as a token of appreciation to all Slovenians abroad who put great efforts to keep their mother language alive even outside Slovenia.
Spoštovani predsednik Republike Slovenije, gospod Borut Pahor, spoštovana ministrica za izobraževanje, znanost in šport, dr. Simona Kustec, spoštovani predsednik Ameriško-slovenske izobraževalne fundacije, gospod Brandi, spoštovana prejemnica nagrade za življenjsko delo, gospa Sunita Williams, spoštovani gostje, dragi udeleženci današnjega gala dogodka. V izjemno čast in veselje mi je, da vas lahko pozdravim na ASEF Gala srečanju, obenem pa iskrene čestitke organizatorjem, da ste nas zbrali in povezali skupaj na tako prijetnem dogodku, pa čeprav le prek spleta. V zadnjem letu smo se že skoraj navadili na virtualno realnost, zagotovo pa vsi nestrpno pričakujemo trenutek, ko se bomo lahko zopet brez omejitev srečali tudi osebno. Ob tej svečani priložnosti bi se želela zahvaliti članom in ekipi ASEF-a za vse napore in delo, ki ga s tako požrtvovalnostjo opravljate v želji, da bi povezali in krepili svetovno skupnost slovenskih znanstvenikov in raziskovalcev ter mladih Slovencev po svetu in domovini. Ne le med seboj, temveč tudi ali predvsem Slovenijo. Svojo odličnostjo, zavzetostjo in zvestobo slovenstvu predstavljate vezivno tkivo med matično domovino in njenim duhovnim in intelektualnim kapitalom, razpršenim po širnem svetu. Prav se mi zdi, da urad, ki ga vodim, podpira ASEF pri uresničevanju njegovega nadvse plemenitega poslanstva. Zavedam se namreč neverjetnega potenciala slovenskega uma, tako doma kot na tujem, ki je povezan zagotovo še močnejši in še uspešnejši. Urad bo zato tudi v prihodnje rad podpiral gostovanja slovenskih štipendistov slovenskih korenin iz sveta v Sloveniji. Zadovoljna pa bom, ko bomo s pristojnimi inštitucijami v Sloveniji našli tudi stabilnejše rešitve za financiranje gostovanja ASEF-ovih štipendistov pri slovenskih raziskovalcih po svetu in drugih vaših projektov. Današnji ASEF Gala dogodek prinaša še en izjemno lep trenutek. Iz vsega srca čestitam gospe Suniti Williams za njen izjemen prispevek k raziskovanju vesolja in znanosti. Nagrada ASEF za življenjsko delo gre zagotovo v prave roke. Dear Mrs. Sunita Williams, my sincere congratulations for your outstanding contribution to the discovery of the beauties of the universe. As Minister for Slovenians abroad, I would especially like to thank you for your loyalty to your Slovenian roots. You are a bright example to all of those who may still be looking for their roots and identity. At the same time, you are a great encouragement to all of us to be proud of our Slovenian descent. Spoštovani, dragi prijatelji, čeprav smo vsak na svojem koncu sveta, vsem skupaj želim, da bi bilo današnje vzdušje dejansko gala. Saj je današnji praznik res praznik slovenskega uma, tako doma kot po svetu. Vsem skupaj želim lep, bogat in prijeten večer.
Thank you, Ms. Helena Jaklitsch, Minister for Slovenians abroad.
May I
Another
just
prominent guest is Ms. Simona Kustec, Minister of Education, Science and Sport.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests from Slovenia, the United States of America, and elsewhere in the world. It is an honor to welcome you at today's ceremony, both on behalf of Slovenian Ministry of Education, Science and Sport and my personal. Due to the specific circumstances of the time, this year's traditional American Slovenian Education Foundation Gala is taking place virtually, but it is here, and this is the only thing that matters. Allow me to first extend my sincere congratulations and express my strong support to the ASEF, the non-profit organization uniting more than 50 Slovenian professors working at the world's top universities in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Austria, and Denmark. Your work provides an important link that brings together Slovenian intellectuals from all over the world and helps them to actively cooperate with Slovenian institutions. Internationalization of science, research and education is thus successfully strengthened in two directions. First, from Slovenia to the world, by promoting cooperation in the field of research between Slovenian professors from all over the world and young people in Slovenian educational institutions, undergraduates, PhD researchers, and postdoctoral researchers. This kind of cooperation generates new knowledge that cannot be obtained in Slovenia and also evolves into mentorship, as well as scientific and research cooperation with researchers and institutions in Slovenia. Second, from the world to Slovenia, by facilitating research visits at Slovenian universities and institutes for young people of Slovenian descent. Upon completing the experience, many of them stay in Slovenia and join the Slovenian research and education system. In addition to this, to facilitating the mobility of young people, the ASEF develops and delivers top-quality non-formal education programs and practical training for young people in Slovenia. Through its fellowship programs, the ASEF enables young people to take part in practical training at the best universities abroad. At the same time, its tutorial program and workshops in Slovenia provide young people with competencies that are difficult to obtain through formal education. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for realizing your mission towards bringing together Slovenian intellectuals around the world and in Slovenia and providing research and education opportunities for young Slovenian students. You are an important link with the homeland and ambassadors of Slovenian knowledge in the world. The Ministry of Education, Science and Sport has provided and will continue to provide funding to support exchanges and cooperation, with the aim of enhancing the circulation of knowledge and promoting Slovenian science around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, knowledge is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. You are an important cornerstone of knowledge, which is society's greatest asset. Or, like Albert Einstein said once, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Thank you for your attention. I wish you every success in your work in the future, and don't forget not to questioning yourself. Take care, all my best, and stay healthy.
Thank you, Ms. Simona Kustec, the Slovenian Minister of Education, Science and Sport. And now, I'm more than happy to welcome the President of ASEF, Mr. Tom Brandi. But before we let Mr. Brandi speak, let me just share you a bit of my story. 2 years ago, I spent the summer at UCSF as an ASEF Fellow, and during that time, I had an amazing opportunity to stay at Mr. Brandi's home, who have jokingly adopted me as one of his ASEF sons. Living under his roof was really a remarkable experience for which I'll be forever grateful, especially for his wife Carol's delicious cooking. Thank you again, Mr. Brandi, and the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm speaking to you from California, where it's beautiful. 7 years ago, two brilliant young Slovenian academics, Jure Leskovic and Father Peter Ćosić, met in DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. They didn't know each other, but they were joined by so much in their heritage and by their common dream. They had a dream that somehow they wanted to facilitate some of the brilliant young Slovenian scholars to have an opportunity to train under some of the more prestigious university professors, to collaborate, to gain knowledge, to share, to build bridges across scientific, academic, and cultural areas. And that process started 7 years ago with 3 students, Santa Clara University, Stanford, and UCSF. 7 years later, in 7 short years, 98 students have come from Slovenia to train not just at universities here in California, but throughout the finest universities in the US, in Canada, in England, and throughout the world. 29 students have come from the United States and Argentina and other countries to Slovenia to bring their skills to learn under Slovenian professionals. And these bridges are being built and progress is being obtained. Their vision, their dream is becoming and has become a reality. And it is that reality has been funded and fueled by the wonderful, generous benefactors who have supported our organization, many from the beginning. And I would like to thank all of you for doing that. Without your help, we simply couldn't function. This year, there are 68 donors in this group that have contributed over $18,000. I'm going to make a little punch right here to see if you could hit the ASEF donut button again and send any amount that you could. We would greatly appreciate it. You enable the students to come. You enable the professors to share their knowledge. And you enable families like myself, Carol and I. We have hosted Euros and 3 other young men who indeed are part of our ASEF family. They are our ASEF sons. And it has been an incredible experience for us to host them and understand and meet and gain and share in their knowledge and their joy and retain the contributions and connections that we have. So I'd like to welcome everybody on behalf of ASEF, and I look forward to later presenting the Lifetime Achievement Award to a truly extraordinary person and whom you will really enjoy meeting. So thank you very much, Euros. Take it away.
Mr. Brandi is not only the president of ASEF, but also its biggest supporter, just as many of you who have joined us today. We are truly grateful for your support and supporting ASEF in achieving its goals. The purpose of our today's gala is also to show the gratitude to all of you who kindly and selflessly support ASEF in achieving its goals. Your financial support is crucial, especially in these turbulent times. As a sign of our appreciation, we are organizing our raffle, in which all of you who have made a donation or might still make one will participate. But there are some amazing prizes, but we will have to wait with that until the end. But now, before we continue, I kindly invite Miss Iris Bechai to perform the song El Vito, written by Spanish composer Fernando Obrador.
As we said at the beginning, tonight we'll focus on positivity. Despite the situation worldwide, numerous individuals and teams who originate in Slovenia have achieved many of their dreams and goals. Among those who have not let the pandemic get in the way of their aspirations is also the ASEF Foundation, which not only quickly adapted to the new reality, but even took the advantage of the whole world going online. Let's have a look at what I'm referring to. At this point, I would like to give the stage to the man who represents the heart of the foundation and is the best suited to present ASEF achievements of last year. This is ASEF co-founder, Professor Jure Leskovec.
Good evening, everyone. Dober večer in dober dan. I'm very excited that I can present what ASEF was able to achieve in the last year. Actually, the pandemic gave us an opportunity to even broaden our activities and be able to do them online, and this way bring together Slovenians all over the world through the virtual medium. So what I'm going to do today is give you a presentation about the achievements of ASEF in 2020. ASEF is trying to do two things. It's trying to unite and build connections and bridges and exchanges between Slovenians all over the world. Slovenian heritage is central to our core and mission. At the same time, we want to support and give opportunities to young, talented minds and build a community of excellent leaders who we form their character and give them the opportunity to give back to the society and serve the society. So everything we do is interwoven with these three core values of ASEF, which is excellence, character formation, and giving back service to others. ASEF is led by a board of directors who are distinguished individuals of Slovenian descent all over the world, helping us with this project and helping us with the direction of the foundation. We also have an active board of advisors who are providing inputs, advice, and helping us on various sub-projects. And I would really like to thank everyone who's helping in ASEF in all these different boards. ASEF has two main programs through which we achieve our goals. First is the Global Fellowship Program, which strengthens the links between Slovenians all over the world, preserves Slovenian heritage while enabling young students to reach their full potential. And the way the program works is that students from Slovenia visit Slovenian professors all over the world. This provides opportunities to the students that are not possible and access to the knowledge that is not possible to get in Slovenia. It also creates research and educational connections between Slovenia and the rest of the world. At the same time, students stay with Slovenian families who host these students and take them into their own families. This is life-changing for students, but it is also a way that invigorates the Slovenian community abroad and brings kind of young blood to them. In 2020, even due to the pandemic, we were able actually to grow our program. We have 51 Slovenian professors who host students all over the world. They come from 44 different universities, mainly from United States, but also from United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Austria, and Denmark. And this group is ever growing, and it is inclusive and diverse. And in 2020, we were able to award 22 fellowships to 19 different research fields. So we try to be as inclusive as possible and support all kinds of fields of sciences and arts. And here you can see a few pictures from our students spending time abroad in laboratories, learning new skills, learning new knowledge. We couldn't be more thankful to all the professors who were able to take these students into their research groups over the summer all over the world. Some of these visits happened in person, others had to be virtual, but the experience was still very valuable. A second important component are the host families who take these students over the summer and make them part of their family. And it's an integral part of the ASEF Fellowship that Slovenians from Slovenia get to know and how vibrant Slovenian communities all over the world are. And in this way, we are strengthening the links and we are increasing the awareness of Slovenian communities all over the world. So thank you so much, everyone who has so selflessly hosted students and taken them into under their roof. We also have a fellowship program for students of Slovenian descent or Slovenian heritage to visit Slovenia, to receive education, learn new skills, climb to Triglav. As you see here, this is David Turk from Cleveland, Ohio. He spent the summer, this summer in Slovenia, working under Professor Batelino at the University Medical Center in Ljubljana. He aspires to be a young doctor, but as every true Slovenian, he also climbed the Triglav, and here you can see how proud he is of his lifetime achievement. So these are the fellowships to Slovenia. In 2020, we had 10 fellows physically visit Slovenia. They were from United States and Argentina, and you can imagine what a big effort this was, given the COVID, given the travel restrictions and all the uncertainty. And I think this really shows how Slovenians all over the world love Slovenia, and they are willing to take, 3-4 different flights, be quarantined for weeks, so that they can go visit, learn language, learn the culture, and also acquire new skills. We also hosted a number of events for them. Here's a picture from a trip to Posavje in Bela Krajina. They also attend Slovenian language school at University of Ljubljana, and we also hosted a very nice reception at the government office for Slovenians abroad. We also thank the mentors who were able to provide education and professional training to these fellows in Slovenia in 2020. And again, I'm very, very much acknowledging how hard and challenging this was, given the COVID restrictions, uncertainty, the virus, and so on. But we were able together to get through this, provide this experience to the students without a single case, keeping safety as our number one priority. The impact of these fellowships is really that Slovenian students of Slovenian heritage receive new education, receive new practical experience that they couldn't otherwise get, and at the same time learn Slovenian language, learn Slovenian culture. So we are both preserving the heritage while also giving young minds the opportunity to grow, to learn, and excel. We are also expanding our programs and refining them year by year. Now, over the last few years, over the course of the foundation, we have given more than 130 different fellowships. About 100 Slovenian students visited United States and other countries, and about 30 students from all over the world visited Slovenia. And now we are expanding this program into what we call ASEF Society of Fellows. And it is a 3-year program where ASEF helps students reach their full potential. And based on this, we created what we call ASEF Tutorial Program, which is a mentorship program for ASEF Junior Fellows. And it is a complementary approach to the university curriculum, right? We want to provide lifelong mentors to the students who they can turn to for advice. And junior fellows work with small groups with a tutor who is a leading expert in their field. And we actually have researched similar programs at University of Oxford and Harvard University, and took the best from what they are doing and upgraded it into the ASEF Society of Fellows. We have a great great set of tutors who are spending time with the students, really tutoring them on kind of small groups, one-on-one, across all these different areas. And these are leading Slovenian experts across these scientific disciplines. And this way, students learn and acquire skills that are kind of impossible to get in the strict university setting where it's all about exams and grades. We also are trying to unite Slovenian community all over the world and build connections between them. So this year, with our friends from US Embassy in Ljubljana, we organized first Slovenian American Virtual Academic Symposium. and I think over 200 people attended it, where we featured successful collaborations between United States and Slovenia, talked about various support mechanisms for these collaborations, and also enabled researchers to do speed dating with each other to connect and to create new collaborations. In 2020, the ASEF community was extremely active. We organized over 22 different events, which basically means every 2 weeks there was an event. We organized workshops. We had an essay contest for our junior fellows, running reading groups, tutoring program. We released a documentary film about Dr. Francero De. It was actually featured on national television in Slovenia, and it's about the story of his life, how he left Slovenia, went to United States to be together with his fiancée and then wife, and then went to Hewlett Packard and developed the world's first calculator, and at the same time remained one of the most happy and friendly Slovenians I ever met, and he had the strongest handshake I ever experienced. But what I'm trying to say is that ASEF is really a large community of volunteers who make all this work and who are able to provide all these different programs and activities. And the reach of these programs is immense. Only in 2020, more than 3,000 different people attended ASEF events. So the largest public lecture we gave was attended by over 1,500 people. And we also have a very strong community of donors and supporters. In our last end of the year fundraiser, we were able to raise over $60,000 that goes towards support of these programs. And I thank you very much for all the support and giving us a platform so that we can realize and make this vision into a reality. So thank you for supporting young talents. Thank you for supporting Slovenian heritage. As mentioned, please participate in the raffle of exciting awards and consider donating by going to the following URL. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jure, for this presentation. As you heard, ASEF truly rose to the challenges of pandemic in last year. The famous saying goes that you have to reach for the stars because even if you miss, you will land on the moon. And this quote also sums up the year of pandemic among ASEF Junior Fellows 2020. Some fellows were left with no choice but to postpone their research visit. For others who managed to complete it, it turned to be an amazing and unforgettable experience which will shape their future lives and careers. But why you should be listening to me if we can hear about their experience directly from them?
ASEF was born in the fall of 2014 when we met with Peter Rožić at the DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. and decided we want to create an organization that will unite Slovenians all over the world and build bridges between them.
We started in 2014 with just 3 fellows. Until today, we've helped about 130 students get education and research opportunities they deserve.
I've always loved reading and writing. Maybe that's why I chose such a geeky career.
I've always been interested in the world in general, things like sustainability, women's rights, politics, and I hope to use this knowledge to make positive changes that are bigger than my own community.
Through medicine, I hope to make the biggest impact on others and reach my fullest potential and help others who haven't had the same experiences, education, and upbringing as myself.
I wanted to get the experience of studying abroad, especially in the USA, because of their state-of-the-art research in the field of organic chemistry.
My online internship was very interesting, challenging and unforgettable. I did my online exchange with my mentor from the Roslin Institute in Scotland.
I worked with Professor Marinka Žitnik at Harvard University, where she leads the Department of Biomedical Informatics. Due to the global pandemic, I wasn't able to visit her in person in Boston, but we collaborated online on our research project.
Even though I was in quarantine for half of my stay, we got a lot of different assignments to keep our mind busy.
Of course, I miss going to libraries and seeing students and seeing professors or colleagues. But I actually took profit of the quarantine. I wrote my whole master's degree thesis during the Argentinian quarantine. So I think I wrote more amount of pages during the 2020 than the past few years, all put together.
Because I can work and study from home, I can make myself more comfortable and productive.
Hi Nina. Hi Tim. How has your experience been so far?
Well, quite special, I must say, due to those exceptional situations. I actually needed to constantly adopt my research plan. However, it was still very nice and positive experience since I learned some skills I probably wouldn't under common circumstances.
Working atmosphere in the university here is very friendly and supportive. During my stay, I got the impression that one can study and educate himself in any possible direction that you can imagine.
Would you recommend this fellowship to other students?
Yes, definitely. I would really like to say to students who are thinking about doing this kind of internship that they should definitely not hesitate, they should try something new. It's important to take time for your dreams and make your own path and not just follow to the path of the others.
To anybody considering doing internships, I would say, we grow as human beings by stepping out of our comfort zone and doing the things that are hard. Doing an internship abroad will broaden your horizons in ways you couldn't even imagine. Don't be afraid and go for it.
Our mission is fairly simple. We want to unite Slovenian educators, scholars, and business leaders globally. We want to build a diverse community of leaders of excellent character and service.
This means we have fellowship programs that allow young to visit Slovenian professors at top universities all over the world and spend time with Slovenian communities in those countries. This way we create bridges and connections and exchange of knowledge between Slovenia and the Slovenian communities around the world. At the same time, we also have another fellowship program that is meant for young of Slovenian heritage to be able to visit Slovenia, spend the summer here, work at a research institute, university, or in some other organization in the field of their expertise, learn new skills, and also learn about Slovenian language and Slovenian culture.
To me, ASEF is a valuable society of professionals centered around the common goal of connection and celebration of the Slovenian culture.
Finishing an internship at UIUC, it gave me more motivation to pursue a PhD in organic chemistry.
And I actually was thinking about trying to make some research here in Ljubljana, because here there are so many great professors and researchers, and actually try to produce some bonds between Buenos Aires University and Ljubljana University, and I think we should try to cultivate them and strike them up.
In the future, I see myself working among interdisciplinary group of researchers, writing my PhD thesis and be a part of the motivated and perspective generation which will change the world into a better place.
I hope to maintain ties with ASEF so that one day I myself can host professional prospective students.
It's been great to connect with people who are interested in similar things as me, especially here in a country that I'm so deeply connected to, considering all 4 of my grandparents were born here. So I'm really excited to continue doing this research and establishing this broader network of people.
This opportunity has meant so much to me because I've been able to experience the culture and the country from which my grandparents and mother come from.
It's been a really intense visit for me here in Ljubljana. It connects me with my family history. Both my grandparents studied in this faculty. My grandfather was a philosophy teacher here. My grandmother, she studied pedagogy. I got to see the church where they got married, the house where he was born. So in my spare time here, when I finish my work, I go out and get to connect with the family history by going to all these places.
To be able to experience Slovenia in such a visceral and unfiltered way has made all the difference for me in learning to love the people, the country, and the society.
I must say, hearing the words of the fellows describing their experience truly reminded me of my own. And knowing firsthand what an incredible opportunity ASEF Junior Fellowship really is, makes me even more thrilled to announce the new generation of ASEF Fellows 2021. We are more than happy to welcome 22 new Junior Fellows who will join us this year and who will travel to universities in US, Canada, Australia and UK to perform their research, broaden their knowledge, and connect with Slovenian communities abroad. And now's the time to meet the talented young women and men I'm talking about, and who I'm sure will in one way or another shape the future of Slovenia and the rest of the world.
ASEF is a synonym for bridge. A bridge between Slovenia and the US.
ASEF is a synonym for connection. It connects people, countries, research and ideas.
American Slovenian Education Foundation is a synonym for a highly motivated community of world-renowned researchers and enthusiastic students who inspire others to get better every day.
I applied to the ASEF Junior Fellowship Program because I wanted to join a community that is connecting Slovenian students and researchers from all over the world.
ASEF is an incredible opportunity to discover a new culture and your own culture all over again at the same time. It is an incredible opportunity where you can connect, learn, and grow, and it is just something that I wouldn't dare to miss out on.
I believe ASEF is a perfect opportunity for me to extend my social network and surround myself with productive and creative people. I am eager to learn something new, and I'm really looking forward to my research visit abroad.
I find going abroad a challenge and an amazing learning opportunity because I will get to experience a different research environment, a different research culture, meet many new people, and it is mostly up to me how much I will take away from this experience.
Abroad is a challenge for me because there is more competition there and therefore more effort is needed for visible achievements.
To go abroad and to live abroad represents a challenge for me because you're faced with unknown there, usually with completely new circumstances, a way of living, perception of realities.
I'm excited for my ASEF visit, not only because of the lab's top-notch biosensor processing equipment, but also I'm excited to share my own research and to work and collaborate with Dr. Novak's team on and for new discoveries in biosensor fusion.
I expect to learn as much as possible, meet some amazing people and see some awesome places, and of course to have fun.
I expect a lot of new knowledge from my visit to Australia, knowledge from the fields of digital archaeology, modern digital museum presentations. During the visit, I'll work on my project, which I hope I'll be able to present when I return to Slovenia, to Slovenian audience, and to Slovenian museums.
While participating in the ASEF Junior Fellows Program, I want to leave a mark by promoting cognitive science research, by setting an example of being a hardworking and motivated young academic, and by bringing Slovenians across the world closer together.
In my research visit, I hope my work will be useful in scientific community around the world. I will try to leave a mark with newly developed methods in artificial intelligence.
During my research visit, I want to leave an impact with my positive energy, but also with my willingness to work harder than expected.
When I return, I want to bring back new knowledge, new experience, and new ideas that can serve as an inspiration and motivation for future projects and activities in Slovenia.
I want to bring to Slovenia acquired knowledge, experience, and possibly a new, different worldview. I think all three will help me make positive changes in my local community, area, and Slovenia in general.
I want to utilize my new knowledge and experiences to shape the bright future of our small nation by contributing to fresh technological advancements, and also taste the food from my grandma's kitchen I'm surely going to miss.
American Slovenian Education Foundation will help my future scientific career by enabling me to work at one of the best universities in the world and with the best mentors as well.
ASEF helps me on my career path because it provides mentorship of the highest quality, both on a personal and academic level. It links me with a community of researchers and professionals who walk down a similar career path as I have, and will be able to provide advice whenever I'm at a crossroads.
ASEF helps me achieve my career aspirations through supporting my research project at the Texas Tech University under the mentorship of Dr. von Tatzer.
I see the opportunity presented by ASEF as of a great importance for my future academic career. The foundation is offering me a great chance to find new inspiring research answers and to learn from the leading experts. The study exchange exchange visit and the work within the ASEF community will help me to expand my international network. With the help of ASEF, I wish to deepen my ideas of connecting classical art history content and modern digital technologies such as virtual reality.
In addition to the fellows we just met, there are also 12 aspiring students from US, Canada, Australia, Argentina and Germany who will this year visit Slovenia. Besides their professional development, they also get an opportunity to explore their Slovenian roots and get in touch with local people and culture. And now, let's meet them too.
I'm excited to visit Slovenia because my family migrated from the Velenje region in the 1950s and 1960s, and I'm very much looking forward to exploring the architecture, culture and art, both contemporary and historical, and just becoming more familiar with my cultural heritage.
I'm excited to see more of the beautiful nation, learn more of the Slovenian language, eat more of the delicious food, and spend more time with the people I have already fallen in love with.
I'm looking forward to visiting Slovenia not only because it is the country land of my wife's family, but also because I believe it is a culture with a profound sense of belonging.
During my visit, I want to learn more about the way Slovenian scientists work. Things like how they carry out their researches or what are the main difficulties they are facing.
When I go to Slovenia, I am excited to learn about the new innovation and technology that's coming out in my field and getting to be a part of that research and work on the front end of it. But also beyond that, I am so excited to learn about falling in love with a place.
During my visit, I want to learn more about the research methods in Slovenia. Recently, I have started my PhD, so it is a very positive opportunity.
I love Slovenia because it feels like home. The first time I visited Slovenia didn't seem like it. My parents and grandparents brought me up in the Slovenian culture, its traditions, and they also taught me the language.
Hello, my name is Milena. I'm from Germany, and I love Slovenia because of the friendly people, the culture, and the beautiful nature.
I love Slovenia because it feels like home. My four grandparents were born in Slovenia, and they have talked to me with great love about their homeland.
I believe the ASEF Fellowship is an excellent opportunity for my professional growth in the field of dental medicine. Moreover, this journey will allow me to deepen my connection with my Slovenian heritage.
I think it is an excellent opportunity to prepare me for the research environment of graduate school and graduate level studies. I also think that ASEF is a fantastic opportunity to connect with other scholars of Slovenian descent and scholars who may not be working necessarily in my specific field.
I think the ASEF Fellowship is an excellent opportunity in which I can apply the skills and knowledge I have gained thus far in my career. As well, studying the law from the unique perspective of the Slovenian legal tradition can only enrich my future academic and professional endeavors, whether they be here in Canada or abroad as a global citizen.
Now we come to the part that literally relates to the universe, Slovenia and Slovenian communities abroad, which are alongside knowledge and skills the core of ASEF. Each year, ASEF recognizes an individual whose life of excellence inspires a new generation in Slovenia and Slovenian communities abroad. It is a great pleasure of mine to introduce the ASEF Lifetime Achievement Award winner of 2020, Ms. Sunita Williams. She is a NASA astronaut whose origins stem from Slovenia. I'm sure you have heard about her achievements, but we will get to know her even better in the interview that is coming up. She will talk with Mr. Brandi, whom we met at the beginning of the event.
Okay. Good morning here. Good afternoon. Good evening there, Miss Williams. Nice to see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yes, okay. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everybody who's out there. It's such a pleasure to be here. Very humbled to be here with you.
Before we start, I want to just share something with our viewership. it's been my privilege in presenting the Lifetime Achievement Award to meet some absolute giants. A Nobel Prize winner, co-inventor of GPS, the co-inventors of laptop, a pioneer in Slovenian language, the chronicler of Slovenians in America. And today we meet, ladies and gentlemen, someone of that same quality, that same level of success, and the youngest person we've ever honored, someone who literally and figuratively has ascended the heights, not just in her career, but the real heights in our planet and our system. And today you're going to hear from her. Hopefully, I'm going to ask some of the questions you'd like to know. So, Suni, again, welcome. Why don't you tell us where you grew up, and what were your dreams as a little girl?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Brandi, for this opportunity to talk to everybody and talk about some of the personal things in life. But I just really wanted to first and foremost say thank you. And wow, I'm floored by this whole event. This ASEF community is just spectacular. And I had the opportunity to go to Slovenia a number of times, but not until I was an adult. And I wish I had gone when I was younger. But at the same time, some of the words some of the students had mentioned, this event has made me feel like at home, because of course my grandparents were Slovenian, and there's so many very typical things that people have talked about, nature and food and music and culture and science. That is what I grew up with. So it's really fun to be here in this presentation, even though we're not physically with each other, but feel like we're at home. I grew up I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, Euclid, Ohio, which I think a lot of people know is a Slovenian hub in the United States. And so that's where, of course, all these things that I was talking about really came to fruition, or what you would want to say really took hold in my life. When I was only one, though, my parents moved to Needham, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. And we would take, of course, trips back to see all of our relatives in Cleveland and get refreshed on the Slovenian culture that my parents tried to maintain for us in Boston. But growing up was amazing. My father also immigrated from India, so we lived in a multicultural household with different religions, different food. And I think I'm very, very, very thankful for that, because you get to see a bunch of different sides when you're young, and it's just the way you grow up, the way you feel, and it seems right just from the get-go. So that was really amazing. I sort of took a note from him and my mom, who is very athletic, like most Slovenians are. My father on the scientific side, my mother on the very athletic side, and was a competitive swimmer with my brother and my sister, and grew up thinking about, of course, loving animals, the nature side from both nature aspect from both sides, and thinking that I wanted to be a veterinarian, but somehow that didn't quite work out for me.
Well, how did you go to what led you to the Naval Academy? That's a very demanding academic experience. And what brought you to the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis?
Yeah, so just sort of capitalizing on my last thought about being a veterinarian, I as a 17-year-old graduating from high school, did really well and applied to a bunch of schools, but not knowing everything about the world at that time, thought I had to go to a certain school to achieve that goal. And I didn't get in. I mention this just because there are obviously hiccups in everybody's life to the schools that I thought that I had to go to. And I was like, oh man, now what am I going to do? And I had applied to the Naval Academy because my big brother had gone there, and he suggested, hey, this could be for you. And of course we know each other, and just our athleticism and, our feeling of teamwork that we grew up with. And he thought this would be a good match. And so I actually got in, luckily enough, and I grew to love it. When I first got there, I really didn't know what I was getting into. It was not my plan, but I recognized that there are things that are bigger than yourself. The goal of the class, the goal of the military, the goal of the country, all of those things are a little bit bigger than yourself. And I enjoyed being part of that team with the opportunities for leadership and followership along the way. It was really rewarding.
So after you graduated from the Naval Academy, you went into flight and into helicopters. What was your first interest in flight? How were you drawn there, and why helicopters?
So another funny and interesting anecdote here, sort of like the college one. Of course, I go to the school, don't know what I'm going to do. We pick what we're going to do by our class rank. I was in the middle of the class. I grew up, I mentioned, as a swimmer, so I thought something that went hand in hand, very familiar, would be selecting Navy diver. I didn't get that billet. There was only one for women at the time. And so at the same time, there was a little bit more flying billets. So I said, oh, what the heck, I'll try this. Had never done it before, but, jumped into the unknown and said, let's see how this works out. And of course, wanted to be super cool, wanted to fly jets, but didn't have that opportunity and got helicopters. And I didn't know what that was like, but again, grew to love it. You get these opportunities that you don't even know are there waiting for you. And if you just embrace them and get into it, you love it. And that's what led me to test pilot school, because I loved helicopters and I loved trying to figure out and understand how they flew. I think the engineering part of my brain kicked in, and I was really grasping for that knowledge.
You used the expression jumped into the unknown. You really did jump into the unknown. In 1998, you became an astronaut. So what was it like to compete for that extraordinary position? I know that it's a very demanding process to get selected, because only the very best of the very best of the very best even get the opportunity. So I know you have a great deal of humility, but maybe you could tell us some of the challenges you had there in becoming an astronaut and in the training.
Absolutely. It is very humbling, actually, when you walk around this office where I'm at right now, the astronaut office, and you interact with the people that are here, from the very beginning. I don't know how I got here. The interview process is pretty rigorous, and you meet all of these candidates who are applying. And again, you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the, not the sharpest one in this room by far. I'm not sure how I'm going to, compete with these people, but just the pleasure of meeting people, sort of just like the program you're talking about. You meet people from all over the country, because this is the US program, but and understand and learn about the science that they're doing, and just blown away by it. Just like, wow, at least I've had the opportunity to come down here, see what it's all about, and learn about other people doing amazing scientific engineering research all around the world, actually. So my first time I applied, I didn't get selected. I got the letter that said, well, thank you very much. Maybe you should apply again next time. And, those are, again, little humbling steps or hurdles, I guess, that you encounter. But, with the I think this mentorship and the friendship and support from my family and my friends, other people who had the same background that I have, said, Sonny, really, finish up your master's, apply again, just try it again. And there are a number of folks who have applied a number of times to the astronaut office here. And it's sort of just a matter of timing and, when is the right time in your career to be selected to be here. So somehow, knock on wood, I got selected in 1998. So over 20 years ago. And it was an amazing time, because that was the beginning of the International Space Station. So I actually got to be a construction worker and put part of it together on my first flight, and then operated as the commander and a scientist on my second flight.
You have I wrote this down, 322 days in space, 50 hours and 40 minutes in spacewalk. And already you've demonstrated a couple things for especially the young people out there listening to this. You didn't get what you wanted right away, and you kept persevering. I have one question I noticed in looking at materials on it. You train with the Russians in Russia as part of your training. Tell us about that. And did you speak any Russian?
Yeah, so pretty challenging, of course, because I didn't speak any Russian when I got here, but recognize that, yes, they are a very thorough partner in our relationship. As a matter of fact, Soyuz landed just last night with our 2 cosmonauts and 1 American astronaut out on the steppes of Kazakhstan, and we're we're actually getting ready to launch a SpaceX rocket with our next crew next week. So it's pretty active in the space program. And so you've got to understand these different cultures that are involved, all the different space agencies, the European Space Agency, the Russian, the Japanese, the Canadian, and NASA, of course, and how they work together. So, I embrace that. I wish I spent a lot of time learning Russian. I really wish. I was just mentioning to John here in the room that I need to learn Slovenian as my next adventure, and Hindi for my dad. But Russian took a little bit of time. But we need to do that because we're launching in a Russian spacecraft, and the Russian spacecraft is all in Russian. So you need to learn that. But what's wonderful about the language, just like you guys have mentioned right here, is you really understand the culture that is the foundation of that language. And it was really neat to get to know our fellow cosmonauts and know that they have the exact same goals that we have across the world. People have the exact same goals when it comes to this scientific endeavors. So it was pretty neat.
You're a product of diverse cultures, and you embrace the diversity of the United States and all that the military represents, and you see the benefit of bringing those different cultures, different ideas together. I want to ask you about your two missions, 32 and 33, but just first couple questions are just kind of general. What does weightlessness feel like? What is it? We've all seen the pictures of people, just kind of cruising around in the capsule and stuff like. What is that like? How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's actually pretty wonderful. You never have a bad hair day. It's all up and floating and all that kind of stuff too. And there's a lot of physical things that happen to your body. So one of the most wonderful things of my growing up is being physically fit, because it allows you to adapt. So there's a big fluid shift also that happens. So people up in space seem like they have a little bit bigger face and a little skinnier legs. But that just naturally happens because you don't have gravity pushing down. Weightlessness itself, just being able to float around is pretty magical. And, at first it's, you have to pinch yourself as you're pushing off and floating through the cabin. And then after a little while, you don't even remember what it's like to walk, because you've been up in space for so long. And this is your mode of transportation, how you're going to get from one place to another. And you can fly around, pretty fast. You can do, flips. And if we were having this interview and I was up in space, I'd probably be upside down, and it wouldn't even matter one way or the other. So weightlessness is pure joy. It's really awesome. It's like swimming, but it's also like as though you were a bird, because the medium is just air. So you're not having to push against like water when you're swimming. But it's just spectacular.
You spend 50 hours outside of the capsule walking in space. And again, we've seen that image. It's a powerful image. What was the sound? Was
so
there any
interesting.
sound?
Interesting you say that, because when you're out in space, all you hear really is what's in your helmet. When we are connected to through radio to our other spacewalker, and also to mission control who's talking to us, but then you hear all the sounds of your suit. Your suit's its own spacecraft. So you hear the fan going, the air moving, and that's it. You don't really hear other things that are going on outside. I'll tell you a quick little anecdotal story, though. I was outside and we were retracting a solar array as part of our mission, and it was having a little bit of difficulty. So the folks inside were hitting the computer button, which was causing the motor to try to retract the solar array. The same time, I was outside, and I was on the outside of a canister that held that motor, and I had my hand on the handrail. And I could hear that they had done it a number of times. Like I mentioned, there was a little bit of a hiccup with this event. So I came back inside and I said, wow, I heard that you guys were doing that a number of times. And they said, what are you talking about? How do you know? You can't hear anything from out there. And I felt sort of stupid for a moment, for a while, for a long time, actually. And I went back to my crew quarters and I went to sleep, and I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute, I did hear it, because the computer sent a signal to the motor. The motor is mounted on a platform, which was inside that canister. The canister is connected to the handrail, and my hand was on that handrail. And sound is what? It's just vibration. So I heard it. My ear registered it because I felt the vibration through my hand, through my spacesuit. which was going back all the way back to physics 101 and science 101. You know, and you have to stop and not doubt yourself and look at the, you know, imagine the possibilities, and they probably are right, like Albert Einstein said.
So you've been a competitive athlete much of your life, all of your life, really. You did something in space that is absolutely incredible. Your capsule was going 5 miles a second while you were running on a treadmill in the Boston Marathon from outer space. First of all, how did you secure yourself to the treadmill?
Well,
otherwise, I would think you take a step and boom.
Yeah, exactly. Very apropos question. You know, honestly, this is the time frame. This is the week around April 15th is usually when the Boston Marathon is, and this was when my first mission happened, was during this time frame of the year. And I had qualified the year before, and you know, to qualify was a huge deal for me. I was like, whoa, I actually ran fast enough, and I didn't want that qualification to go to waste. And so I gave it to my sister, we sort of look alike, and I said, well, maybe you can do it. And you know, through some prompting and back and forth conversation, she had talked to the race director, and they were very excited about it. They're like, yeah, have her run it from space, and you run it here on Earth. And so they were very, very supportive. When you're running on the treadmill in space, just like you mentioned, you have to be strapped down. So you have like a hiking harness over you with a waist, just like everyone has a backpack, right? And then it has bungees that go down to the treadmill. So as you jump up, it will pull you right back down. Now, I'm not going to say that was the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. It was probably one of the stupidest things, because I was on camera for like 4.5 hours running this thing going, oh my God, I just wish the treadmill would break because this is sort of horrible. But, you know, like every good stubborn Slovenian, I stuck it out and finished it. So that was when we were getting ready, when I was getting ready to get off, the treadmill had just clicked over to 26.2. And I was like, don't anybody touch that till we take a picture of it. I have to have evidence that I actually did it for all that effort.
In a race, you come up to water stations and you slow down and you grab a water and you drink it while you're running. Were the other astronauts giving you water or giving you goo or other measures for incentive?
A new Soyuz had come up, so they brought fresh fruit with them. So they had cut up oranges, and they were sort of asleep for part of it's a long time, so they were sleeping for part of it. But near the end, second half, they started to wake up, and they had those oranges, and they're like chucking them at me, seeing if I could catch them in space. But I had also prepared myself. We have other juices up there that I had got some water and juice in the bags and had them all Velcroed up to the wall. So as I needed something, I could just grab it. But they were participating at the end.
On the first expedition, you were a crew member. And the second, what was your position on the second when you were the chief?
I was the commander of the space station. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how many people were there that you were the commander of?
6. So it doesn't seem like it's so many, right? It's a small group, but that also translates to mission control. We're not up there by ourselves. We have thousands of people here on the ground that help us out and work with us here in Houston, in Moscow, in Japan, in Europe, in Germany, and then also, of course, supporting from Canada. And so that's this bigger team effort. And I'm not saying that I was in charge of all those people, but we were an essential element of the success of the International Space Station at that time. So it's that whole teamwork, some of those basic lessons that I mentioned in the very beginning of our talk here, the teamwork, you're sometimes you're the leader, sometimes you're the follower, you know your job and you do your job and you try to just do it as well as possible to be additive to the team.
I have 2 questions that were sent in to me by email to ask you. And one was, as you were looking down on the Earth, here you are with this group that's diverse, different cultures, different countries, etc., all working together. Did you look down on this Earth where we're not all working together? And any pondering of the great thought of, gee, how is it I'm up here, they're down there, etc.? And the other question was, if you could travel to any planet, where would you go? So either order.
Okay. Well, it seems almost impossible that people don't work together. from that viewpoint, from that perspective. You look down and it's like, this is the one place we have to live. How could you not be working together? How could you not be sharing? I mean, actually, even having an argument seems fairly silly from that viewpoint, because this is our one home. I will say during our time up there, it was the Olympics. And so we did have some good banter over the sports that were going on, watching and cheering for our own country, and sometimes against the other country, back and forth, just, as good, honest competition should happen. So that, I think that is felt like the only really acceptable competition that should be going on. There's so much that we can do when we work together. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm from the US military. I had never been to Russia. I never had looked at Russia in the way of a partnership before I came to NASA. And wow, we can really do so much more when we put our heads together and work together. Just the program you're talking about, all that international cooperation, and listening to other people's viewpoints and how they solve problems is potentially different from the way you solve problems. And maybe theirs are better ideas, or maybe some of yours are better ideas, and sharing that, we're just going to get better. And so, it's sort of hard to imagine. Now I'm back on Earth, of course, and I realize that, somebody makes me a little aggravated, and that's how it goes. But yeah, every now and then you just got to step back and go, is it really worth it? And what can we do to make it better? And how can we work better together?
You've just touched on one of the goals really of ASEF, of trying to bring different people of different thought together and formulate an improved situation. I have just a couple things left here in the time we have remaining. What are you currently training and in the astronaut program, and what's ahead for you as an astronaut?
So, yes, I am currently training. And one of these other things that I'm trying to reiterate to my own self is a little bit of patience. We have a couple companies that we have contracted with for a spacecraft going to the International Space Station. One of them is SpaceX, who are getting ready to have a launch this next week with the second long duration crew. And the other one is Boeing. I work with both companies for quite some time, since 2015. And then 2018, I went to the Boeing side. And so I've been working with that company to get their spacecraft called Starliner up to the International Space Station. So we've had a couple hiccups. We're overcoming those, just, like life is, it's not always a smooth path. So one of the things I'm teaching my niece and nephew is patience, it will happen in good time. I think that's a huge virtue. So yeah, I'm hopefully going back up one more time to the International Space Station on a new spacecraft, and that will be really exciting.
That is, we can share with the listenership here that at 10 o'clock, San Francisco time, when we were supposed to join and do our test, none of the platforms worked here. We couldn't get on, and we had a big crash, and within 15, 20 minutes, we got on an alternate. Everything went smoothly. So my last area to talk about is, you obviously have great pride in your culture and in your heritage, and which gives us great pride. Those of us that share that experience of parents or grandparents or great-grandparents. So what does it feel like to know that there was a country of 2 million people rooting for you when you were in space? And what does your growing up, your Slovenian culture and heritage mean to you?
Yeah, hugely humbling. I'll just say that. And just to answer that other question, what's my favorite planet? Earth, because there's amazing places like Slovenia and the United States. But Slovenia, I've been a couple times, and I know the people. I've met artists and scientists, engineers, politicians, school teachers, people in local government in Slovenia. And it was just a veterinarian, as a matter of fact. And just an amazing culture, amazing place, full of just amazing, wonderful people. And I learned so much by going there. I mean, it's a small hidden part of the world. And I sort of wish everybody wouldn't know about it, because it's going to get too crowded, because it's too wonderful. But, I learned about agriculture while I was there. I learned about arts and culture and history, just in the couple of visits that I was there. And I was like, wow, this is such an amazing place. It's no surprise to me that there was a very strong community of Slovenians in Ohio, and it's no surprise to me that my fondest memories as a kid was driving, as we went, entered the Buckeye State across, driving to Ohio and getting to Cleveland, getting to my grandparents' house, because it goes back to that strong family relationships and around the kitchen table with amazing food, kielbasa, of course, and petitza, and black coffee, and just that sense of being, that sense of real authentic living and hard work, and how people appreciated each other. So it's not surprising that it's like one of the most wonderful places on the planet when I physically went there to visit. So I'll be back, and I'm just hoping to make the people in Slovenia proud.
And maybe when you go back to space the next time, you can work with the people that put food together, that you can have some petitza in space and introduce your crew to the wonder and beauty of petitza, because we celebrate all things petitza. I want to thank you and congratulate you. At this point, I would be handing you a plaque and everybody would be clapping. So we'll just visualize that and we'll get that to you. But it's just been an honor and a pleasure to speak with you. I love your story. Everyone that's listening to this, especially young people, especially young girls, that see the opportunities, that, oh gosh, there's a hurdle, there's an obstacle. No, it was a door that had to be opened. There was a stairway that had to be climbed. And if at first you don't succeed, that adage was true with you, and your career speaks to your character. And believe me, it's an honor to give you this award, and best of luck to you and continued success. And thank you so much for being part of today.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brandi. Thank you, ASEF, for this opportunity to come and talk to everybody. And I just love everybody from Slovenia and the culture. So thank you again. It's been wonderful.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Take it away.
After such exceptional words, let's listen to the soprano Irena Preda and her rendition of the song Le Soir, written by French composer Charles Gounod. Her accompanist on piano will be brilliant Armin Ćosić.
Mystérieux
Tonight's another prominent guest is the artist Miss Eva Petrić, who works and lives in New York. She believes that lace from Idrija constitutes the whole universe. Eva is also the proof that even in exceptional times such as these, art and science have no boundaries. Eva is also with us tonight. Hi Eva, can you hear us?
Hi, I'm greeting you from Tokyo, Japan. And good morning, good evening. It's 4:30 a.m. here. It's really an honor to be part of this event in celebrating ASEF's achievements of building bridges, which are extending even into outer space, and to celebrate the presence of Ms. Sunita Williams, whom I really admire. Ms. Sunita, you have been such an inspiration for me and continue to be. I myself am a transmedial artist, which means I combine different media and layer them amongst each other in order to come up with new atmospheres, generating new spaces. And my way has been to search for the similarities that connect us. So building bridges between what appear to be differences upon first sight. And this has been my way since ever I can remember, since I was a little girl and moving from country to country, continent to continent, before there was internet to cut the distance. In my work, my main focus is the human, how to humanize seemingly abstract ideas and theories, and how to keep the humanistic approach perspective alive. So I work with the human form in both abstract and general ways, and naturally the questions which keep arising over and over for me are, who are we, who are you, and who am I? So the shadow on all these images of my permanent artwork, which is called the Rubik's Cube of Recycling Shadows and Emotions, at the main square in Ljubljana. And this is actually the 3D mutation of my periodic table of shadowed emotions based on the periodic table of elements, where I changed, instead of having chemical elements, I replaced them with shadows, visualizing emotions. And in this way, I wanted to accentuate how the ephemeral level of our existence is also a part of our everyday life. So all the images come from a project of a 1-year study of physical presence through my body. I was basically taking photos of my shadow for a year to form this periodic table of shadowed emotions. And we all have shadows. Even objects have shadows. And in this way, we could say that a shadow is a social equalizer. Shadows to me are also visualizations of emotions because of their similarity in constitution to emotions. Both are odorless, ungraspable, constantly changing, and full of potential. They are like the Rubik's Cube with numerous combinations, which is like life with numerous sequences of DNA, but only one is generating what we know as humans. This Rubik's Cube in front of the ethnographic museum at the museum square is in a way my tribute to what it means to be a human, because we are so much more than just the sum of our physical parts. We are also culture, and that is what really unites us and is specific to us humans. And culture is constantly upgrading and reconfiguring like the Rubik's Cube, because traditions don't just disappear. They are in a way recycled, and one could say even upcycled. Another area of my interest is so-called webbing, and I see this phenomena as being present on all levels. So through nano levels to the macro level between stars and outer space. And I have investigated this phenomena through my various installations in my monography webbing, where I use old recycled laces from around the world, which are to me in a way like human heritage, because they are handmade and they in a way visualize what we know as the fabric of space and the interconnection. So some of these projects I'll just give a quick glance through. One is inspired completely from outer space. So I used images of Hubble and to create these lace assemblages, visualizing different galaxies. And my aim was to create a status quo of the Big Bang. And I was proposing, well, maybe the Big Bang is not just a one-time event. Maybe it's happening all the time, even inside our cells. So I tried to create the status quo space also by using the sound of interstellar space that NASA released in 2013, but adding my voice. So again, to humanize this, so people could walk within this installation and maybe be transported to another space and time. Then I moved to the nano level of particles, and I had an installation in the Jean Nouvel Tower in Vienna. And this space fascinated me. It's not so visible from the images, but it's a space that really resonates with the LCH collider that I visited some years ago in CERN. And I said, oh, I will try to create big particles because this space was all filled with glass and numerous reflections colliding. Then I moved to the level of the micro level within our bodies, and I created various collaborations with medical institutions, here particularly in this show, which is called 21st Century Angel, where I proposed that the 21st century angel is our immune system. I participated in the live donation of kidney. A wife donated her kidney to her husband, and you can see the projection is actual filming of this procedure. And these collaborations in the medical space and seeing the body as a very fragile yet durable element led me particularly to work with the symbol of the heart. So the anatomical heart, which I had the luck to witness in Favalora Hospital in Buenos Aires. I took part in the bypass surgery, and this is where the first bypass actually took place more than 50 years ago. And I was so fascinated by how the heart is, again, so durable yet so fragile that I wanted to show also we can go from the idea of an individual heart to a collective heart, a heart that has no boundaries and accepts everyone. And this is the collective heart in St. John the Divine Cathedral 2 years ago in New York City. I then worked more with the concrete heart. I was lucky to have been entrusted by the medical University in Ljubljana with 4 positives of human hearts, which I showed as art interventions in public space in the subway of Vienna, and which I also incorporate in my performance, Eden Transplanted, which is questioning what will be our future home, and if we were to transplant ourselves to other planets, would we have to transplant also our heart and emotions in order to remain humans? I think so. And then I moved, as Ms. Sunita Williams mentioned, this phenomenal, being aware how fragile and unique our planet Earth is. It is one. There is not any other planet, at least to our knowledge, like our Earth. And I created the installation One World, a World for All at the United Nations for the Earth Day, trying to show that, we need to take care of the Earth. And it's our common responsibility. So this installation was, we all breathe the same air, so we share Earth. And funnily enough, this installation I created just before we had any idea about coronavirus, which unfortunately is affecting all of us, but it is also tying us together and showing us that we can be stronger together. And this is my current work called Corona Rose, which is as a symbol of hope that we can overcome the corona crisis, because nature shows us this is possible. Just as a rose has its beauty and thorns, and it overpowers with its beauty its thorns, we also can overpower the corona crisis. Shortly before Stephen Hawking, who was also such an inspiration to me, shortly before he passed away, he advised us humans to search for other planets if we want to continue as a species. So this led me to think, what would we take to outer space to keep the memory of Earth alive, to keep our connection to what it means to be an Earthling in the form of a human alive? I was confronted with this dilemma when I visited ESA in 2015, and I took part in a lunar simulation where I was designated with feeling isolation. And I was asked after this simulation to also come up with 2 art projects which would help astronauts remain connected to Earth and combat isolation. And one of these was the DBE, Data Bank of Emotions fragrance, which would catalyze for the Earthling in astronauts. And the other was the Earthling tattoo seal. So the human form translated into typical Idria lace, which is illustrating the myriad of connections existing inside us. And on the astronaut's skin, it would remind the astronaut of their interconnection and connection with planet Earth, our home. And it is really my great honor and pleasure to be able to present this finally materialized DBE fragrance with a collaboration of another designer, Mateja Ćosić, to you, Ms. Sunita Williams, tonight. And I really hope that its fragrance note of linden, which is the typical Slovene national tree, and it is actually symbolizing communication. I hope that it will keep you connected also to Slovenia, from where your mother comes from. And since you are venturing again into outer space, it would be such an honor, and I hope it's not too much to dare to ask you if you might be willing to carry there on your skin the Earthling tattoo seal, perhaps in the form of a traditional Indian henna drawing. So thank you so much to everybody for their attention. I think that this year we have had more than a year of social isolation and social distancing, which has shown us we are 0.1% astronauts in our ability to know what it means to experience isolation, which astronauts experience in space. And on this note, I would like to also introduce my video called Contact, because if anything, this year has shown us that we as a human species really need and share in our need for contact. Contact is a sonic trilogy of 3 voices, the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, which are making up the Sphinx riddle of what it means to be a human. On this occasion, I would also like to thank Ivan Klaric for his help with the camera and Rupert Hubert for his music.
Hello, 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 hello. Does anybody live here?
Aurora's shining, calling for contact.
Is anybody inside?
Where are we going?
Is
Where are we
anybody
going?
inside? Do you exist? Do
Blue
you
sphere
exist?
of Milky Web floating below
Is
me.
anybody inside?
Hello?
Is
Can
anybody
you hear me?
inside?
Can you feel me?
Calling for
She doesn't hear us. She doesn't see us. She doesn't feel us. Raise the pressure. Turn on the oxygen level. Stop the bleeding.
Where are we going?
Stay with us.
Follow the curve.
Stay with us.
30 degrees.
Stay with us. Raise her pulse. Raise her pulse. Is anybody in here? Is anybody in here? Is anybody in here? Calling for contact.
Calling for light.
Calling for contact. Calling for contact.
Calling for contact. Calling for contact. Calling for contact.
In a human lifetime, the average human heart beats 100,000 times per day, 3 billion beats per lifetime. Consciousness is created by every living cell in the body, acting in concert. Memories and character are encoded not just in our brain, but throughout our entire body.
Is anybody in here? What are the borders of our bodies? What are the borders of our bodies?
If any of these organs should be transplanted into another person, parts of their memories,
Perhaps even the elements of the soul. Are you human? Are you human? Are you human?
contact.
Calling for contact. Calling for contact.
Calling for contact. Calling for contact. Calling for contact.
Thank you, Eva. May I ask you to share some of your views on art and science? Is there any connection between them, in your opinion?
Yes, very many and very strong ones. I would say that art and science are very similar in their calling to visualize the invisible, to materialize the immaterial. And in that they are both aware that we are much more than what we see, what we hear, what we feel. Also, I think a grave similarity is that they are both fueled by curiosity and passion, and also idealism, because you really have to be idealistic to believe that you will materialize the immaterial. One way which I think they differ is that science has, unfortunately, really the pressure to always prove. So maybe because of this, scientists are really burdened to, go out of the box because they know they have to prove in the end, while art and artists don't have this burden on them. So I think because of this, it's so important that there is a dialogue between art and science, because artists need science to remind us that we need to be understood. Art is in service of people, so to remain humanistic. But scientists, I think, also need art and artists to, really tell themselves it's okay to go out of the box. We must go out of the box and look from all perspectives to come to solutions. And in the end, we are body and spirit, so science and art, and it's the dialogue between the two that really matters.
Thank you very much, Eva, for your answer and for being here with us today. Have a good time, and we wish you a lot of success with your future artistic work.
Thank you.
And now, I kindly invite Clara Kirkletz to take us on another space mission with her cello rendition of Star Wars Princess Leia's theme. Ladies and gentlemen, with that last musical performance of the evening, we've come almost to the end of tonight's virtual gala. But before we part, there's another fun task for Sarah and myself to do. And this is to announce the winners of our raffle. We will start with the first book ever published under ASEF. Scientific monograph on local interethnic integration, written by Dr. Dejan Valentincic, the head of research at ASEF Institute, goes to Mark and Mary Blochard from Ohio, US.
Newcomers, written by Lojze Kovačić and translated by Professor Michael E. Biggins, translator of contemporary Slovenian literature into English, goes to Gary P. Likan from the US.
A men's wristwatch 7, donated by Zlatarna Celje, goes to Bill and Bob Kochman.
6 bottles of selected quality wines from unique territory of Sava Valley goes to Sonja Strah, Plejnit from the US.
Another person will enjoy drinking tasty Slovenian wine, this time from Klet Brda. 6 bottles of Baguari superior wine will be delivered to Lara Dular in Slovenia.
A person who will enjoy with company of their choice 6-course menu with wine at Simona Mansion in Slovenia, managed by chef Tomaž Ćosić, goes to Robert Vidmar from Slovenia.
And the last prize is a piece of art by Eva Petrić, whose talent we were already observing earlier in the evening. Skyweb, a photograph over an assemblage of found handmade lace, goes to Alice and Gary Gosak from California, US.
Well, thanks to all the donators who sponsored and kindly gifted those prizes. And thanks to all of you who kindly participated with your donations.
And now we have really come to the end of tonight's gala. During the evening, we all got to meet a lot of incredible individuals, and on behalf of the whole ASEF team, we promise we'll continue to stand by these talented people committed to their work and serving their communities. Hopefully, this event brought you a bit of inspiration, motivation, and also relaxed you, so you all will be ready to carry out your next goals and face any challenge that may lie ahead of you.
We would like to thank all the distinguished guests, the whole ASEF team for doing an amazing job, not only for tonight's gala, but also throughout the whole year. And of course, we would especially like to thank all of you for your attendance and continuous support of ASEF. Let's hope that next year we'll see each other in person, but until then, don't stop reaching for the stars. Thank you so much for being with us.
Goodbye to US and good night to Slovenia.